You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Close for Chiro, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Chiro Thin, Imaging Services, Zingit Solutions, Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, Everest Coaching Systems, Universal Tractioning Systems, Rhino Coaching, Chiropractic Jobs Online, and Chiro Matchmakers. Let's hustle. Well, hello, everyone. Close for Chiro Hustle in the same screen here. It's like a convergence of great minds here. Anybody that's on this live today is going to walk away more in tune with marketing and sales than you were before you ever, laid eyes on Dan Bay and Jim Chester today. But before we get started, one of the topics we're going to crush today is talk about sales, and we're going to be pushing people over to your opportunity for your Facebook Live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that is a Close for Chiro Facebook Live hosted by Dan and Jen and Sean, and they're going to deliver the goods for you. But Dan, you are where?
I am in Chicago.
Boom, and I am in Grand Junction, the Grand Valley on the western slope of Colorado, which I like to say it's where no one lives. And I moved here. Why, Dan?
Because no one lives there.
No, I came here to hear the birds chirp, man.
Oh, the birds chirp. Dude, I don't know your taglines yet.
There we go. Well, we were playing nice for a minute.
Yeah.
Close for Chiro, they are your answer for your certainty of day one and day two when it comes to what they do. They teach people how to walk people up the value ladder to the point where they feel like their life is going to improve with chiropractic services, because it will.
No, they know their lives are going to improve. That's why they do what they do. Exactly right. So I know you're a bit stirred up. You have some raw emotion that you want to share with us today about this sales and this marketing stuff. So let's just dive right into it and talk about things on your mind. Sure. Since you asked, got a bit of a rant. I don't know if it's a rant, but I'm not happy with something that's happening in the industry right now. There seems to be a movement of anti-sales, a movement. And when you say anti-sales, what you're really telling me is you're anti-business. And the people that are representing this movement are indeed very good salespeople and business people, which is a dichotomy that just blows my mind. The amount of hypocrisy and the amount of BS surrounding people who tout that we shall not be selling, that we shall not close, that we shall not essentially run a business needs to stop, because it's so confusing to the average practitioner out there who really wants to do a good job, wants to make sure that their business is going to thrive, make sure they can at least pay the bills, but then hit with other people telling them that no, they shouldn't do that. And I think what it comes down to this is Jim, is that these people are unaware of the fact that what they are indeed doing, trying to tell people they shouldn't sell, is indeed themselves selling an idea for consumption, for their own benefit, or for whatever benefit they want to say it is for. Because the fact of the matter is this, is that sales is not about manipulating someone to buy something they can't buy, or they shouldn't buy, or they never should have bought in the first place, or they can't afford. That's not what sales is, and that's what's being represented out there. And I can't blame the average person for that. But I can blame the leadership in the profession taking on that role, especially when these people were actually in my audience going this like this, and they use the same procedures in their own offices. The hypocrisy is overwhelming. And I you know what, Jim, you know me, and you know that I don't usually engage. I see a lot of bullshit out there, but I'm so distracted by doing my own thing, and I'm doing my own thing. But this one I have to engage because of the fact that it's in direct opposition to my purpose for this profession. That is to teach the industry and the chiropractic profession what real sales is and what it's not. So I take that opportunity to do that, because closing and sales, by the way, closing is not something that you do to somebody. It's closing is something that you do for somebody. When you could actually do the right things to lead a person to the correct decision that we are all on board with, okay? Then that's what sales is. nothing more and nothing less. And I know we're caught up on this word, sales and closing. Oh, it's so sleazy. I can make it a different word if you want me to, folks. But it walks like a dog and it talks like a dog. It's an effing duck, and that's just my style. I don't need to be provocative here. Talking about sales is provocative enough, especially when it is what it is, and that is leading a person to a decision. And tomorrow at 2:00, I'm going to lay it all out, and pretty much it's going to be the release of my steam valve that I have been building for year 2018. I have been trying to figure out what the relationship is, if there is anything, between sales and marketing. And the verdict is in, and I'm going to be sharing that tomorrow at 2:00 Central on our page at Facebook/closeforchiro.com. And Jim, I know you're going to be there for that, because you are a classic example of someone who understands the relationship between sales and marketing. Because I really believe that if we can understand what marketing truly is, I think that if we can change our perspective on that tomorrow, at least, or before the new year, that these practices and these businesses would be Richter in 2019. And that's just a little bit of shift in headspace and understanding the difference, or the commonality, or where sales and marketing, where marketing starts and ends, and where sales starts and ends. And, because frankly, we are doing marketing all wrong, because we do not understand where sales goes into this, where sales falls, where the relationship between sales and marketing. And we're going to lay it out for everybody tomorrow at 2:00. So I'd love for everyone to be there. Jim, I know you're going to be there. And I'm going to shout you out more tomorrow, because there's only a few people that I work with in the industry. And these are the people who absolutely know, whether or not you know it or not, you have a relationship with sales versus marketing, or sales and marketing, or sales whatever and marketing. And I can't wait to share with you guys tomorrow at 2:00.
Well, you stirred up a lot of things for me. You're a great MC. I love the fact that you deliver goods to people that listen. And I know that there's always a strategy that's in the interworkings of the communication style that you use. And that's why I think what you do and you teach people is so integral for them to be able to elevate their business to the next level, because it's not just chiropractic, give, love, serve. It is business of taking care of people. And I think that that's something that since day one, when I first talked to you, I was like, this guy has some brilliant direction, and people that follow what he does, all the people I meet that have done your classes have all improved with their quality of life. And I think that that's what it's about. It's about outcome. And what you do is you give the chiropractor adaptability. You give them the ability to adapt into a new version of themselves with more confidence and more systems and more strategy in order to hit their bottom line and to improve their quality of life.
That's right. But isn't that what everybody wants in this marketplace? That's what you want. Now, let me just stop here for a second. I'm glad you said that, because everyone who pays me anything for me to provide something, they're doing it not because they understand the features of what they're going to get at, let's say a masterclass, which is our marquee event where we teach this stuff. They're putting their money, and a lot of money, Jim. Okay. All right. We don't have a seminar for $99 in a Holiday Inn where we upsell you vendors in the back of the room. It's not how we roll. People are paying upwards of $2,000 to sit in that seat. Okay. That doesn't happen because they're just going to go check it out. It doesn't happen because they like the features of whatever that we're going to be talking about. See, people don't spend money like that. People spend $22.96 to sit in one of these chairs because, like you said, Jim, because they know that this particular service and product will equate to a higher quality of life selfishly for that said doctor. That's why people do what they do. That's why people put their money where their mouth is. That's why people invest. And this concept is so foreign to our industry, and it just irks the crap out of me, because we are consumers. We buy shit all the time and we don't even know why. And then we are expected to sit in our offices and sell this thing, right? But we don't understand what makes us tick as a consumer. You know what? Let me give you one tip here. Anyone who's listening to this live, hello everybody, or you're getting this on replay. You want to become a better seller for your services. Pay attention to how you buy. If you can do that, I mean, anything, folks. You want to go buy a Sprite at the 7-Eleven? Think about it. What made you go to that 7-Eleven? What made you go to that brand? Like, if you sit and it takes work, folks. It's not easy, okay, to think about things that you've done so, subconsciously for so many years. But if you really think about it, think about what made me do that. Why did I spend $4,200 on a refrigerator? True story. Just did it. And I didn't even notice I did it till I got back. It's, honey, did we just spend $4,000 on a refrigerator? It's like, yeah. Interesting. So what did I do? I didn't beat myself up for buying a $4,000 refrigerator. There must have been a reason why I spent that much on a refrigerator. And if you analyze what makes you buy stuff, you'll realize it ain't about the product or service. Okay? It's not. It's about what that product or service will give me to my quality of life, what effect it's going to have on me emotionally, and we'll never admit it to ourselves. Like, all right, so let's say, Jim, let's say you bought a car, right? Let's say you bought a Ferrari, right? Okay, to whip through the winding roads of Colorado. Like, I'd say
2 comma, bro. 2 comma.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm thinking, oh, dude, we're gonna go and hang out, and when you're gonna give me a ride in your Ferrari. So if I called you and say, bro, like, you got a Ferrari, that's awesome. You know what you're gonna say? You're not gonna say, hey, Dan, I bought a Ferrari because I love the feel that it gives me of my ultimate entrepreneurial arrival. It makes me feel validated as a person in society that actually can afford those things. I feel like the rush that it gives me, the little tingle it gives me below the belt. You're not going to give me those feelings because people don't justify purchases with feelings. People justify purchases with logic, yet they buy emotionally. See, this is the thing that we all have to understand, is that people will always, through rhetoric, they will use logic rhetorically to say, oh, I bought this because of X, Y, and Z. Okay. And that works against us because when we hear the marketplace say, hey, I went to a chiropractor because of X, Y, and Z, because he uses the Gonstead method. He's very specific. He has this really cool flexion distraction. He goes and gets the ring dinger. These are the things that people say as a logical justification to something that they bought emotionally. But underneath, they have bought it emotionally. So as someone who is a purveyor of a service or product, in this case, chiropractic,
Yes,
we
sir.
can never depart, ever depart from the fact that people buy through emotion. Now, eliciting that emotional response for them to say yes to chiropractic is the challenge. And it's not manipulative, okay? It's not fraud by eliciting an emotion, because ultimately how they're going to buy. We have to make this thing called chiropractic consumable. Jim, I have an email coming out, and I'll just share it right here because it's so good.
Let's do it.
A couple of weeks ago, my 7-year-old son said, Daddy, what is hell? I'm like, fuck. Damn. I wasn't ready for that. He's just a baby. And I'm like, oh. So I have a decision here. My wife is not around. She can't bail me out. So I have a decision on how to handle this. So do I, number one, tell him what hell is based on my 40 plus years on earth? Or do I explain hell in a way that's consumable to a 7-year-old? Did I water it down? Was I lying to him? Was I saying something that wasn't true? Was I trying to manipulate him? My own child on what hell is. No, I saw my audience, my son, my 7-year-old son. I made I communicated a concept that's very difficult to conceptualize and explain from the perspective of what a 7-year-old would understand. That is what sales is, folks. It is the most selfless thing you can absolutely do for anyone, is take yourself out of it, translate said message to a way that it's consumable to your audience, period. Every industry in this world understands this, except ours. And I want to bang my head against the mic right now because they just, I don't know what it is. Jim, maybe you know, they just don't want to admit to themselves that they have to change the way that they're talking about chiropractic in order for it to be consumed by the masses, because it should be, because it is indeed the best healthcare product in the world, and it's a solution to the problem that nobody has.
I love that you say that, because you're so consistent with that. And that message that you say it's the best healthcare product in the world is why 10 years ago, I bought into chiropractic, and I didn't become a chiropractor. I became somebody that walked through the ranks.
Yeah.
I learned how to work in a clinic. I learned how to go to the streets toe to toe with society and sell chiropractic.
Yep.
I think that is like a superpower. When you can go out there and build rapport, you can create your own sales cycle that no one ever taught you. And you come from the scratch on this, and you create a system now that can be reproduced like what you do. And I think the thing about Close for Chiro and your methods is you teach people a consistency with their systems. And I think that that's why so many people kind of fail once they become doctors, is they go out there and wing it, and they think that they have the answers. Because one of the things I've been talking about lately, Dan, people call me all the time now, and they're asking me like advice, like consulting stuff. And I'm like, well, if you want to get better at what you do, you have to be more consistent with what you're doing. You have to go to events where the people that you want to have influence are. You have to start to build relationships with those people if you want to start doing business with them. If you want to be seen as an expert in the marketplace, you have to start building relationships and position yourself as an expert. And I said, this is the other part of it. And people want to come into your office and they want to get adjusted. They want to come in, they want to be greeted, and they want it to be a smooth process. They don't care if they're coming into D.D. Palmer's personal chiropractic museum. Mm-hmm. But all chiropractors think that their office should look like D.D. Palmer's museum, right, where the patient just wants to come in and they want to get checked and get adjusted and have it be a nice process.
hey, Jim, you know what's an important distinction here is that you found chiropractic first before. In other words, you were in sales and marketing before you before you have adopted the chiropractic profession and the lifestyle. So your perspective is much different than the perspective of most of the docs out there, and that's why you're such an asset to the profession, because you have that outside perspective of the marketplace. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's two ways we can go about this. You can be lucky like Jim. You can work and live outside. That's why second career chiropractors are vastly more successful than first career chiropractors, okay? I consider one of the lucky ones. I got my ass kicked really early in practice, where I had to make a decision. Do I stay in the profession and figure this out, or do I get out? Because really, I was at that fork in the road. Fortunately, because of my mentors and stuff, I stuck it out, and thank God I did. But most of us are at that intersection every single day. And I got to tell you, folks, it's really not that hard. Okay? It's really not that hard. Getting into the perspective of your prospect is not hard at all. It's just a matter of either figuring it out on your own, which you can, which I did, or I could speed up the process for you, okay, and show you exactly what you got to do step by step by step. And I love what you said, Jen. You said, we give you the strategy. Well, that's what it looks like on the surface, okay? Because for us to do something, we got to have the learn the moves. We got to A, B, C, D all the way to Z. Okay, if I'm teaching docs, let's say, how to be a musician, I'm not going to start the class by talking philosophy and theory about music. Okay, I'm going to teach you, hey, bro, this is E, hit E, ding, yeah, very good. F, and we're going to go through the strategies on, let's say, a scale. Now, the crazy thing is and the holding tank, which is the continuing education for masterclass grads is that strategy now becomes a philosophy. It becomes an art. Okay. And that in itself transcends the typical chiropractor from a salesperson or a closer into the best damn chiropractor in the world, because they got the total package. They got the skills, the technical skills to take care of their patients. They have the technical skill to sell and close what they got to do. And they do that so well, so often, for so long, they just become, essentially, they transcend who and what they are to a point where literally it looks so easy. But as we all know, it takes a lot of fucking work to make it look easy. And that's the problem with that. But that's what masterclass is. And I realized early on that we can't, just like we're trying to sell our patients what they want while educating what they could have, I have to sell my colleagues what they want while educating what they could have. So I know what most docs want. They want an easy way to make sure that they don't lose marketing dollars when their patient comes in. They don't want to hear no more than 50-60% of the time. They want to be paid what they deserve, okay, which is not much, okay, because the average chiropractor is not charging enough. And lastly, what they really want is to make sure that they are closing better on most days than not. So they want a system to make sure all the stuff is relatively reproducible. So on your worst day in your practice, it's still better off than your best day without this system. And I know that's what my chiropractors want, my colleagues want. And that's what we give them.
I like how you get granular with people and you give them like an introductory, like 101 to where they need to transition to. And I think that that's really cool when people do come into Close for Chiro masterclass. They start to walk step by step with you in your trainings. And then before they know it, they go back on Monday. I've seen it happen. I've seen people that I've gently nudged to you. And I said, hey, go do this. And then they go do that. And then they text me pictures about their success. And I'm like, wow, that's great. That's awesome. And it's just a matter of getting people to take action. So I know you guys have a master class coming up on the 19th, I think 18th, 19th in Chicago. Let's talk about the master class a little bit and why people should be attending that.
Yeah, I won't even just talk about it. I'm going to give everyone right now who's still with us.
6 of y'all.
Yeah. I'm going to give you exactly, the under the hood look at a master class. Thanks for, it's January 18th and 19th. I just updated the website. We're about 70% sold, which is saying a lot, folks, that people buy during the holidays. Like, we've moved so many seats in the past week, and we just moved another one this morning when I first got to the office. And so, but by the way, just a caveat or a transient, whatever it's called. Sorry, English, my second language. Although whoever's laughing will probably speak English better than you. Just kidding. Is that, conventional thinking, I think, in our profession is hurting us. I think that like during the holidays, everyone is like not buying. What are you kidding me? This is when they buy the most. Oh, I'm going to turn off my Facebook budget during the holidays. Why? Why would you do that? This is when people buy the most. So I doubled my Facebook ad budget during the holidays. You know what I mean? It just anyway. All right. I don't want to get into it. I'll go into that tomorrow at 2:00 Central.
But there is a leak. There is a leak. I may be at this masterclass on 18th and 19th. So if you guys wanted to see like the convergence of this conversation continue, masterclass.
We'd love to have you, Jim. We absolutely would love to have you. And that's because you are a salesperson. And I know when I say that, you're not all weird about it. You're probably like, hell yeah, I'm a salesperson, But masterclass is all about how to sell, push, and close. We really take it step by step. On the first day, we're going to teach you how to ask the right questions on a day one. That's in the perspective of your prospect, not from the perspective of the doc. Now, I will tell you this. Most docs at the end of day one feel like they were not able to talk enough to their patients. And I want to let you know, if you feel that way, you've done it correctly.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Close for Chiro, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Chiro Thin, Imaging Services, Zingit Solutions,
Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, Everest Coaching Systems, Universal Tractioning Systems, Rhino Coaching, Chiropractic Jobs Online, and Chiro Matchmakers. Let's hustle.
We have a concept. It's called STFU. I think you guys know what that stands for. I mean, shut the F up. And the less you could talk, the more your client, your patients talk, the higher the close rate. And one of the things my partner Sean Rundle says, and he says it a lot, is that we don't talk people into the close. We listen them into the close. And on day one, we're going to teach you exactly how to do that. But the best closers in the world, the best salespeople in the world, they do something better than most other people can't. And that is constrain themselves. So we have another concept that you'll learn in masterclass. And this is all day one masterclass concepts that I'm giving to you right now. And that is power through constraint. If you ever are in a day one and a little birdie tells you, oh God, I really want to say this, but should I? Answer is no. Don't go there. Don't say it. Okay. It's really easy because you guys know you're there. You're doing your day one. You're like, okay, should I say this? If the fact that you're asking the question, should I say it, means that you should not say it, people. Don't say it. So the more that you can constrain yourself, the better your results are going to be on day one. And at masterclass, at the end of day one, we let you know that the next morning we're going to be having a couple of docs come up and demonstrate what they learned on day one, on the morning of day two. So what we do,
work.
Yeah, absolutely. They're saying you're not going to be able to be in the back snoozing off, scratching balls, watching Netflix. This is not one of those. Your job is to learn, and we are in your face. We only have 50 docs in the room. There's 5 or 6 of us walk in the room. Okay, I'm watching whoever's taking notes, who's not taking notes, and we're targeting out people we want to put on the spot so you learn. We don't do that to embarrass people.
Well, people pay attention to what they pay for.
You would think, but still, nevertheless, we still have some knuckleheads that want to kind of cruise for that weekend, and we're not going to let it happen because you're trusting us to serve you so that you can go back and have and crush your practice in terms of closing in day one, day two. So that's what we're going to do. So that's what a masterclass is. 2 days and we're done. Yes, we're one of those weekend seminars that teach you how to sell. You're damn right we are. We can make it 4 weekends if you want. Okay. I don't think you don't have time for that. So we make it a weekend and we teach you how to sell. We teach you how to close. And you're going to thank us for it because that is the one thing that we are missing in this profession through its opposition. And as long as I'm alive and as long as I have a voice, I am going to keep doing this to the point where our industry has a healthy relationship with sales and closing, like every other friggin' industry that's crushing it right now. Okay, medicine, you think they have a healthy relationship with sales and closing? You bet your ass. They sell great. It brings me to my knees how well medicine sells. And if I just look at it from a sales perspective, I'm like, they got it. Like they understand it. They are crushing it. And then indeed they are. The dental profession, yes, they know how to sell, man. They're good at it. They're great at it. And they have a healthy relationship of where sales and closing and marketing, all that is within the ecosystem, within their industry, and they figured out how to live with it. So if I can leave that as my legacy in the profession, I've done my job. I really have. And I want to answer another critic. Someone says, if you weren't making so much in your practice, you wouldn't find the need to go out and do consulting. Let me just put this out there, okay? And Jim, I'm not really this way, but you caught me. You caught me in a mood. You caught me in a mood, brother. I can make probably triple the revenue and the income that I'm making right now outside of chiropractic, outside of consulting. It'll probably be in sales because I'm really good at that, and I can probably crush it. Why don't I do it? Well, I'm inherently lazy, so I like to kind of do what I'm just kidding. Because this is where my passion is. Okay. Peter Kevorkian at our last masterclass spoke, and he goes, you could learn all this stuff, you can do all these things, but something that someone can't do for you is tell you what true fulfillment is. And me teaching docs how to do this and understanding and seeing the big hole, the vacuum that exists in our profession in terms of the industry as a whole, and me being a conduit, and Sean, Jen, and I being the conduit to get in there and fill that hole and see a need, that's fulfilling to me, and that's why I do it. Yeah, I could probably do real estate. I can do a lot of things. I can get into cryptocurrency. I'm just kidding. No Bitcoin. I can do all those things and just make money, and I could probably triple my income right now. But this is where my heart is. This is my passion, because I know it's needed. Okay, and at a masterclass, you get to hear the whole story. There's no more like cryptic, like, because we put a lot of stuff out there that's not meant to be completely understood. Okay, our marketing is very sophisticated, and I can only say that because I'm not really responsible for most of my marketing. But nevertheless, I'm trying to drive the ship. But we got a lot of things out there that all come together in a masterclass weekend. So you guys should be there.
I love what you say. I love what you say, Dan. One of the things I wanted to touch on that you just mentioned is how the person actually the end user receives the message. And this goes back into a chiropractor decorating their office to look like D.D. Palmer's museum. It shouldn't look like that. And you should know how to communicate to your audience. That's one of the things, as these people call me, I've taken like 3 calls over the weekend to tell people how to communicate to their audience. I tell them it's not about what you think that you're proud about. It's about what they find value in, that they'll like listen to and pay attention to. And I think that that's what's really cool with what you've done with your strategy within the master classes. You teach people how to communicate to their audience to the point that they see the value in the information shared, and they start doing this.
Yes, without contriving it, without manipulating them. That has to be all set up. And we all know how to do this actually in other arenas, like how to speak to our families or friends, or trying to convince like your neighbor to lend you something. We all do that. But when it comes to our practices, sometimes for some reason it's not adaptable, and that's where we come in. So, and regarding like setting up your practice like D.D. Palmer, what's so funny is one of the trends I see in the industry is that most chiropractors practice and set up their practices to impress their colleagues, not because they're trying to facilitate their marketplace. This actually happens in a couple of other industries that I will talk about tomorrow, and those industries are now defunct. So there's a lot at stake here, folks. There's a lot at stake here. Understanding what drives the average consumer in your community, and if you don't have your finger on that pulse to some degree, there's going to be a problem. Okay, and failure is inevitable. It's just a matter of when. And that's the direction that we got to take this. Okay, I'm not getting into philosophy. I'm not getting into mixers versus straights, and because either end of the spectrum in our industry, like we have the same problem across the board. Okay, the subluxation center, subluxation based guys suck at sales. The evidence based guys, they also suck at sales. Okay, they just suck. Because their agenda is to only make themselves feel right. That doesn't sell. That only makes you look like a douche. And that's kind of where we are. So if you ever wonder why this profession has a negative brand equity, it ain't really because what you think, all right? It's because we're just talking about ourselves every single time we're given a podium. And we don't have the perspective of a marketplace in mind. I don't know, if I go to a party and someone's just talking about how great they are and how right they are, I don't want to hang out with you. I'm going to go over here where these fun people are who are asking me about my life and how they could help me. I'm hanging out over here. Not with these D-bags. You guys are assholes. I'm going to hang out over here. It's kind of where we are in our industry, So I don't know how else to break it down. This is a popularity contest. You want people to respect you and like you, you best get to know them. And
rule
again,
number one.
That is rule number one. And we all, by the way, the people listening to yeah, I get it. I understand. The same people go back to the practice and start off a day one procedure with a pamphlet about subluxation. They'll also make them watch a stupid ass video. They'll put them through a 4-day report of findings process. They'll put them through a group report process that lasts 6 days. And then they'll tell them at the end it's going to be this amount of money. And then they're going to scratch their head why they left and say, hey, I got to go home and talk to my wife about this. And that happening at 60% or more. And now you're thinking, what's wrong with chiropractic? Chiropractic must suck. No, you suck.
And here's the byproduct, Dan, is these people that have less than 60% close rate go home with their tail between their legs to see their spouse and their kids. And they feel like that they're a chiropractor and a doctor and they failed today.
Yeah, listen, we can get into the psychology of the failing business person. Generally, it's the same as a failing chiropractor, or it's how could something be so good yet no one want it? It's a tough pill to swallow, but that's the thing that sales gives you, and understanding the perspective of the marketplace is that it gives you justifications or reasons why that happens. Okay. And it has very little to do with actually the product or the service. It has everything to do with your relationship between you and the prospect and the service. So it's a trifecta. It's a trilogy, and
sorry to barge in, but you said something that really, inspires me to elaborate on something you're talking about. And one of those is when you get to the point where you can communicate to somebody and they understand that it's going to have a positive aspect on them. And then you start doing this for all of your pods that come through your master classes. Now we start changing the cultural conversation. Now we start giving higher levels of brand equity to what Close for Chiro is giving to the source of chiropractic, which is certainty in what they deliver and strategies in order to make people realize that they're going to start doing this more and chiropractors start doing more of this.
Yes.
And I think that the brand equity is what we're doing with Chiro Hustle is we're actually improving chiropractic brand equity with creating content with a positive spin with ambassadors of the profession that talk highly and motivated about chiropractic as a great opportunity for people to not only succeed in, but also to have fulfillment within. And I think that that's the wheelhouse for both of us is we want to boost the brand equity of what we're doing with our brands for the chiropractic profession long term. And I think when people realize this is that there are certain reasons why people do support Chiro Hustle to keep free speech alive in chiropractic and keep subluxation, even though you shouldn't give out that brochure on day one, but we still need to secure subluxation-based conversations within chiropractic.
Yeah, that's something. You said that you within chiropractic. All right, let me go on another rant since you teed it up for me. Within chiropractic. So the other issue here is that, like you said, is that we're talking as colleagues, you understand? But if we're trying to reach our marketplace, we wouldn't talk this way. Okay. But the fact is that the average chiropractor talks to their patients like they would talk to their colleagues. Again, trying to impress their colleagues, not their patients. So again, making the message consumable is everything, because it is. You're not watering it down. You're not lying to them. Remember, my 7-year-old asked me what hell was. Remember that story? Think about that one. That's just how it is. And the quicker we realize that, the better we're going to do. So, and that's that.
Well, cool. I think that we gave a lot of value to our viewers today. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's jumped on. Sean Dill, thank you for jumping on from San Francisco. Sean Rundle, he's one of the rock star trio of Close for Chiro group, and you'll get some personal attention from him when you go to the masterclass January 18th and 19th in Chicago, Illinois. You'll be in good company with Sean and Jen and Dan here. And we have Amy Maynard Buckles, who joined us early on, and she says, great point, thank you. Paying for results, that's what it's about. And my good friend Zach Lujan out here in the Grand Valley says, Dan, what time zone are you doing your Facebook Live tomorrow? And I believe that is Central Time Zone.
Yep, center of the world, Central Time, 12 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Central.
And I'm gonna flash a funny comment up here from Sean. He says, when do we have them memorize the 33 principles?
Funny thing is, I used to actually do that. Okay, because on a 36 visit care plan, I would have them memorize like one, or not memorize, but understand each of the principles after their third visit. Which at the end they would, I don't know. It's so. I mean, it's the stuff like that sounds great to other chiropractors, but in practice, it almost devastated my practice overnight. So.
And your consumer says, "Can I get adjusted already?"
Exactly. They don't. They want the adjustment. They want the result and the effect on their life that the adjustment gives them. It's really actually what they want. But again, they're justifying it with logic. I want to get adjusted. You understand? What they're really saying is, I want to make sure that I can get up tomorrow morning and not feel like an old man where my 14-year-old makes fun of me and calls me old. And then I have to go to work and I have to drudge through a morning shift. And I barely can, go to the bathroom, number 2. Like, that's why they want to get adjusted. So that's really why they're buying, not because they want the adjustment, which is tough for a lot of technique gurus to hear, And by the way, I was trained Gonstead, so we talked to Gon droids. Man, you guys are the worst. You guys are so bad. What do you mean adjustment doesn't matter? I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. I don't think so. I mean, it's the truth. I don't like you. Well, sorry. See ya. What am I gonna say? It's just, I don't know. It's just sometimes this is tough work. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, like, come on, like, what is it? Why do you have to be validated so much? Are you that insecure about what you do that you always have to be validated by it? Maybe that's it. I'm not exactly sure, but it is what it is. So I'll leave it there.
Well, I think that it's a good role that we had today, Dr. Bay. It was a great opportunity to talk to you about all these amazing things that you guys have to offer to elevate the consciousness of the chiropractor, to know that they are going into battle with their shield and sword, knowing that they're not going to fail. And I think that one of the things that we really have to pay attention to is knowing that we need to raise our future up and support them as they transition. So if you guys are out there and you're a student and you want more information on Clothes for Chiro, or if you're a DC out there that's watching this and you're saying, damn it, why haven't I done this yet? Well, I felt the same way about doing a podcast, and that happened for 2 damn years before I actually said, we're going to go. So now if you guys are feeling that about seeing Clothes for Chiro advertising and marketing, you hear all these awesome stories, I say click here in the comment or in the description of this Facebook Live. So click here for clothesforchiro.com and see what it's all about, and see if it might be the thing that turns your practice around and gives you that ability to say, I want to give Dan Bay and his Clothes for Chiro crew a nice testimonial saying how this changed my life.
Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate that. So, hey, thanks for having me. I always feel at home on the Chiro Hustle podcast and the Facebook Lives, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, you were episode number 5, bro, and we just released episode 77 today. So we've been joining arms for a while now and delivering content and the truth to chiropractors out there. So anybody that follows either one of us, you guys, if you guys found value in this, comment, like, and share. If you guys are on this right now, there's 9 of you right now, and we're closing out. Please go out there and share this, because I know that people are going to benefit from the knowledge base of Dan and myself today. And not to toot my own horn, but we're getting pretty damn good at this chiropractic conversation thing. And I think that the more people that pay attention to this realizes that this is the cultural conversation of chiropractic, this is the place to be. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody that's out there. And Sean Dill, love you, brother. Thank you for being such a great contributor to today's live. And he closes out saying, encore, one more rant.
I don't have any more in me, man. You wipe me out, man. I gotta have some left for my patients later, because I mean having to rant my own. It was amazing.
Last close tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Yeah. The Clothes for Chiro group is going to talk about marketers and selling, and you guys have a really cool angle you're going to take tomorrow, and you're going to talk about real chiropractor marketers.
It's not an angle. This is the truth. Okay. We're going to show you what marketing is, what it's not, what that has to do with sales. And I'll tell you who's not going to like this is any marketing guru. If any one of those Facebook people cold call me one more time, I think I'm going to lose my shit. The typical marketers out there, they're not going to like this. So you might want to be there, because if we can understand what I'm going to tell you tomorrow on our Facebook Live, 2019 will be completely different. And so I'm going to put that in perspective for everybody.
And when you guys jump on tomorrow, please immediately, once you guys join that conversation, share that live to where we can get more viewers on there to get this valuable content that they curate every 2 weeks.
Great. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
Well, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling, and thank you for supporting the Chiro Hustle podcast as a sponsor. Close for Chiro. I'm out.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.